Hello friends. This week 3 men came to the eldership at the church where I serve as an elder, seeking ordination. And part of that process was that, of course, they were interviewed by the elders. I was fascinated and spiritually refreshed to hear their stories about God's calling in their life. One was a young man who was in his 20s, came from a home, and they had been coming to church when his parents went through a messy divorce, and he said the people from church just loved on him, and he couldn't understand why anyone would love on him that much. Later on, when his grandfather, who had been the most stable force in his life, passed away, the church was again there to just continually love on him. And it was later on when this young man was trying to confirm if God was calling him into full-time youth work that he said he was talking to a youth, and the youth said, can you help me through a situation here where my parents are getting a divorce? And then he said he still wasn't sure. He prayed, God, if you really want me in full-time youth work, can you give me another sign? He said the very next day a youth sought him out saying, my grandfather died, can you help me through it? And he knew that God had called him. The second man that came seeking ordination has been in our church really for quite some time. He grew up in a Christian home, but went through a time of real struggle in his life, time when he drifted away from Lord and got involved with alcohol and just had a lot of anger and frustration. A near fatal motorcycle accident caught his attention, and he then was able to rely on a family member who was also a recovering alcoholic who helped him through it. And as he not only got through it, he then sensed God's call in his life, and he started a very successful and effective singles ministry in our area. The third gentleman that came is in his 50s. And several years ago, he and his wife were starting to attend our church and were involved in a small group. And during the time they were in that small group, his wife was going through a bout with cancer that she ultimately, through God's help, was able to overcome. But that small group helped him through it. He got more and more involved with the small group ministry, organizing it, and then was asked to come on staff to organize small groups in our church. As time went on, he became not just a small group minister, but a very good pastor, a very good shepherd in many, many ways. What do all these have in common? As I reflected on them, I think that there are a couple of main things. One is that God tends to use events in our lives to call us forward. You know, whether it's those painful events of a death or a divorce, that cancer in the family, the motorcycle accident. For those people who are seeking God, or at least open to God, events like that sometimes are the difference. Sometimes those are the places we look back and realize that we came to a brokenness. We came to a place where we had to rely upon God, and everything made a difference. But more importantly, God uses people to call us. Whether it's the people from church that show the love in that one situation, or the uncle who was a recovering alcoholic that could help, or just the people from a small group at church. I bet just as those gentlemen, if you would reflect, you'd find many, many times that you'd realize that God used people to minister to you and ultimately to direct you and call you. You know, sometimes that you're going to be on the receiving end of that help, but at other times God is now wanting to use you to help someone else. And I'm wondering, even right now, what person is it that comes to your mind? Even while we're going through this, is there someone that God's laid on your heart that He might be wanting you to contact, that He might be wanting you to show some love? You'll never know what kind of an impact that contact might make. What's going on in your life right now? Maybe God wants to use that to catch your attention, maybe to direct you in a new path. I'm sure that God's got a call for each of us. And as we find it, we'll discover incredible joy as we work for Him. God bless you.